There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stuff in. Hello, everyone. So we're back. It's been a little while, and my son is singing in the background for ambiance. He was asleep until about 20 seconds ago, which is cool. Anyway, so thank you for watching tonight. We appreciate it, or today, whatever you're watching this. And you've seen her before. You've seen him. No. She was in our other campaign. This is my wife, Ashley.
Hello.
We've been playing as friends and family for a long time. Originally, I played with her before I even played with him. So anyway, so we're going to start with a.
But it's been a while for me.
It's been a while. So those that are new that are watching, great, because now you get a chance to kind of. Get a little refresher course, because there's going to be little questions here and there, which is totally fine. Also, we have a newborn, so if someone has to leave the table to pick her up and bring her here, you get to see her, which is fun. If not, then she'll just sleep, which would be great. We're not doing like a 2-3 hour session this time. We're doing about an hour, and we're just going to kind of keep it loose for now until we have more time, more scheduled sleeping patterns, as a newborn tends to be whenever she decides. And with our son, he's sleeping, so occasionally you're going to hear a little like, I'm all done, and dada, and things like that. So anyway, we appreciate you anyway for being here. Alright, so we're just going to get started. I'm going to do a brief what has happened, because first off, she can't catch up. It's just so many hours. I mean, we've done 6 episodes, each one ranging from 3 to 4 hours, sometimes a little bit more. That's a lot of hours to watch. So I'm going to do a brief thing.
20 hours.
So if you're new to the channel and you're like, oh, well, I haven't seen anything yet, well, now you get a chance to check it out for yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So there were 2 people in particular in this whole thing. It's been Wyron and Cry. Now he's Wyron, and Cry is not here tonight. I don't know where he is, but it's totally fine. So they're Aasimar brothers, and they were traveling together to the Grimmire Peaks, which is a mountain range that stems all the way down this continent that they're on. And they were looking for another Aasimar, which is a fallen angel type person, but it's like half angel, half human, but mostly not. So anyway, so what happened was this world's called Tavorio, but it's the whole world is called Addaman, which actually in Celtic just means land. 2 Aasimar twins, Wyron and Cry, were part of a temple that hunts down demons. That needs to be mentioned. They were on a mission, and they were captured by slavers. These slavers, we later found out, were actually Yuan-Ti, which are snake-like people. Now, granted, the entire city is not Yuan-Ti. There's just secret cults in these different cities. And they've been finding out more and more that they've actually infiltrated many cities, and they're causing some problems. So they arrived in a place that had large pyramids, basically a mix between Egypt and Mayan, Aztec culture, a lot of sacrifices, things like that. But there was this big, giant arena that they happened to get thrown into. They met a man named Odeon, who jumped into the arena with them, kind of a cellmate, forced into it. Turns out he's a very, very skilled warlock, and they didn't know that before. He used to be a priest. It's okay if these chairs do all sorts of noises. These noises, there's all noises. We just have all that. A fan going in the background. It's good.
Deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, you're watching us play D&D. We're called Natural One, guys. Anything that goes wrong, I mean, come on. Anyway, so, all right, so they go into this arena. They start fighting a lot of people, and they start winning. And they put in these arena situations, kind of like Gladiator, the movie, kind of to lose. But then people love them so much that they keep shouting more and more and more. And Amonis, the main slaver, is, taskmaster, I should say. He's over the whole let's make them work area. He really dislikes them a lot, just from the get-go. He doesn't like them. He's decided to try to kill them, sends a basilisk after them. Somehow they survive, and unfortunately, Cry did not live through the situation. He kind of died, fell into the stomach acid of a basilisk. Well, I should say, Wyron decided to last minute drag his starting to be completely stone body and threw him into the stomach acid after he had split it open. It was a crazy battle. No one could actually look at it, which is kind of hard to fight when you can't look at something. But there's reflective surfaces, and she had something to do with that. I was saying, how do I design an arena to fight something that no one can see? And so she kind of helped with that. It was fun. So she's always been. You've been helpful.
My character wasn't there yet. That's me.
She was there all along. Or was she? Anyway, so they won, and he came out of the bile. I should say it's disgusting. He came out of it using his wings, which he can only do once a day, and he can do it once a day. Cry has the ability to fly for a little bit, once a day, and be all like holy and amazing because he got one side of angel named Azrael. You know him, Azrael. We played. Mason played him in one of
It's the same one?
Same one.
Okay.
Anyway, he got the dark
though,
side of it.
He?
Well, he was, but it's a different, same person, different situation.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he was bad.
Yeah,
he ended up being like the mastermind.
I kind of reused some characters.
Okay.
Anyway, so he has like the darker side of him, so it's like a yin and yang situation where he has like skeletal wings that are ethereal that appear behind him, and he terrifies people and causes damage. Anyway, so he flew out of the muck, and everyone was amazed even further that not only did they kill Basilisk, which was like the gladiator killer, everyone knew that was like the end of them. They just lost. Everyone lost. And they killed them. Anyway, they were very upset. The people were excited, but the council, I should say, were upset. And they threw a feast for them. I mean, I say that loosely because it was more of a trap. They put them in there and they showed them their true forms and showed them that they were the people, the leaders of the community. There was Shadia. She's like a black widow of the group. Seductress. She was trying to lure him away, but was like poisoning him with her nail. She was really creepy. She's a Yanti Malison. She like when she's in her true form, she's got like a snake-like lower half. She's really terrifying. She's over torture and sacrifice. Hakor was a Hakor was an ebony-skinned man with eyes dark as, like, they were dark but like silver in the middle. He was the leader of the armies of Kemecht, which is the whole area, whole kingdom down there. And Ammon was the spy master, coiled serpents. He had the two swords. He was like warning you guys throughout the whole thing. And then there was Khafra, which is when they snuck down into this area. And I don't know if you remember this whole thing. They snuck down. Well, the trickster god. You remember that? Mm-hmm. They found this area underneath the slave quarters, which was where a trickster god shrine used to be, long before these people even were here. And he showed them a vision of this like meeting where they were all in their true forms, and it was like terrifying because it was the first revelation that they were worse than what they were. Anyway, so now they escaped with the help of someone named Castle and a prince named Aaron. And they went down into the Underdark, unfortunately, because they thought, hey, it's a mine shaft, let's get out of here. And led them much further because things broke, and Moniz chased them, and he's chasing them still. And they were in the Underdark for a few weeks. It was not a long time in the Underdark, but to survive a few weeks in the Underdark, if you truly know it, is a feat in and of itself. Anyway, that is where we are. We went to the Astral Plane. I apologize, this is important. They went to the Astral Plane on accident. There was some gift that said, hey, we'll help you through the Underdark if you can give us all your things at the end. They agreed. Turns out they tried to sell them to Drow, Dark Elves, which was a big fight. They all nearly died. He killed the priestess, which is a really big deal. Killing a priestess of the Underdark of Drow. It's a matriarchal society, if you don't know that. Priestesses are like big deals. Anyway, he smashed her right in the face. it was gross, but it worked, and everyone's happy now. There was a Gith Zerai with them, which is like a monk class of the Gith, which aren't the same, and he led them to the Astral Plane, and there they met a leader in some monastery. They're on a big floating rock in this middle of nothing, if you know the Astral Plane. Anyway, he showed them to a portal. They were almost tricked by the trickster god again, who appeared as Azrael, but he wasn't, and he ended up trying to trick them into the Underdark, and that was the Nine Hells, very different. And luckily last second, if you remember, you were just like, wait a minute. You just kind of had this like realization, maybe that wasn't him. And then, yeah. So the trickster has things planned and does fun things, plays jokes on them. The reason why is because Odeon is a warlock and his patron is the trickster god. He's the one who gave him his powers. So the reason why he's even involved in all this is because of that. So anyway, now they appeared into a library. They went black, white, and then boom! This books, pages, everything just starts flying everywhere. And currently, there is an elf woman who is sneaking around in the forbidden section of the library trying to find information. But obviously not supposed to be there, and as they explode into the room, you see them explode into the room, and that is where we are. Let's begin. And, alright.
Okay.
You've literally left the astral plane, boom, you're in a library.
Okay.
It is dark, it is musty.
Am I hidden from them?
You are currently hidden from them, but you definitely are startled, because you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So who's all in the party? It's just we're in Cry and Odeon?
It's Odeon and also Alana.
And Alana.
Alana is a knight.
That's right.
She's been with them. She was a smuggler. She's just been around. She's been a great help, but she's not going to be here much longer. Just kidding. She's alive.
And
Giving away things.
I'm not. She might be here.
The gift was he told us where we're going, right?
He told you were going to Nok-Reshal. That's what you guys asked to go to.
Which is like a dwarven something.
It's one of the biggest and only dwarven cities left. There's about 50,000 of them there. You were actually headed there to get information, but
okay. Is the library seem like it's closed? Are there any lights?
Right. So the area you're in doesn't have any torches, any lights whatsoever. In fact, the pages, some of them are tearing and ripping as you see them just fall to the ground. They're so old.
It's the air.
I know. Yeah.
So is it like dusty then?
Oh yeah, dust is flying everywhere. In fact, Odeon immediately. I actually want you all to roll decks. Those that are that were coming out the portal.
Okay, here's this one. Oh, I don't need
Yeah,
to. No.
you're fine. Okay. Alana falls down. Odeon
Just a
is
saving
fine.
throw?
He's just to see if you were upright when you came
11.
out of the portal.
11.
Okay, you are upright. Just barely though. You stumble and grab onto a bookshelf and knock something over. You're part of the problem, less of the solution. Anyway, you come flying out of this portal, and Odeon looks about, knows where he is, and says, "One moment, I'll be right back." And you don't see him where he goes because you know he has Misty Step. He teleports away from the wreckage and starts going somewhere. You know he's in that area.
Okay.
Which is odd, because he immediately just, "I'm out of here," boom, goes.
Huh.
Not running. He said, "I'll be right back." Alright, now I want you to roll perception to see if you see her. And you roll stealth to see if you're hidden in it.
22.
So you actually have really good stealth. You have a
Where-
+6 on your stealth.
Oh, okay.
So you add that to it. What did you get?
22.
Okay, so despite your
15.
amazing stealth,
Yeah.
you weren't quite prepared to hide yet.
Well, cough guard.
Right. So you see an elf woman just kind of slinking away a little bit, and you're not quite sure where she came from, or if she was just
Okay.
in there. She doesn't look like a scholar or someone that would be in the library.
Okay.
She's got a bow on her back and a sword on her side, and she looks like she's actually wearing a breastplate. She's not like fully like plate, mind you, just a breastplate and some padded leather.
Okay, I'm gonna point her out to my companions and call her out.
And Cry looks over at her. He didn't see her at first. He actually didn't roll very high. He sees her and he's like, "I'm sorry. Did we hurt you?"
No.
What do you? Where are we? I know we're
We're-
Nok-Reshal, but I didn't know.
We're in the library.
I see.
You know, the books that you all destroyed as you came in here.
And Odeon returns. He's kind of like pushing something into his like the bag of holding. Bag of holding, by the way, is like a black hole where you can put things.
So like a Mary Poppins bag.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can put
Cool.
as many things as you want in there. Unfortunately, if you steal that from someone else, you don't know what they put in there, and never just reach in there hoping for something, because yeah, you always want to have in mind what you want, that you know is in there. Okay, and as you are talking to her, several dwarfs. Oh no. There's a baby.
I will be right back.
She will, and she can be holding a baby. All right. Several dwarves approach, and they're upset.
Several dwarves approach.
I mean, if you busted into someone's old section of the library, just you notice around you, actually on the floor, there's this big glyph that's like glowing, which wasn't glowing before, but that's kind of sometimes portals have an exit area.
Okay.
Looks like it's never been used, or it hasn't been used in a very long time.
Why would they build a library, huh?
Probably they thought it was a unused area. I mean, it hasn't happened, it's from the astral plane.
Right.
You know, it's a gate that's closed except to a key, and then he had the key.
Yeah.
And what would Gitzerai have to travel to the Dwarven Kingdom? You know, I mean, they don't really. It's not really a place they go to.
Yeah.
But again, the astral plane is always moving, so it could have been somewhere else at some point. It's always to remember.
It's true.
But yeah, let me check real quick. Okay, we're good. And it's a little fuzzy, I'm sorry. Our internet's essentially several wires plugged into a potato, and we have a little tin can that we rip apart. That's what it feels like sometimes. We pay for good internet, and sometimes we just don't get it. It's always when I'm busy. That's just the way it is. So if we drop off the face of the earth, I will put in the... I think we're still good. But it's a little fuzzy at the moment. But if it drops off the face of the earth, I will say what you missed. I will rewatch it tomorrow to make sure we're good. Okay, so several dwarves approach, and they are noticeably upset. They're not wearing like crazy armor or anything, but they've got knives and they're approaching. They're wearing like robes. They look like scholars. They're worried. Several of them are shouting, and they see all of you standing there amongst all these pages still kind of floating downward. You say, "Oi, what you doing there?" And you notice you're actually behind gates. You knew this, but there's like a gated section.
Oh yeah, because we're in the forbidden.
Right. It's actually a gated section under lock and key. How you managed to get in here is a question that remains to be seen. Odeon is looking calm and collect as ever. Alana's freaking out. She's just like, we didn't mean any harm. We came out of a portal and we didn't mean to wreck your library. And she's just talking, just like nervous talking. And that's what's going on. They are opening the gate and they're stepping forward. They look very upset, like to the point they're gonna come up and just stab you right out. This is their precious library. You don't know how old these books are.
Are there like windows? There's probably not in this section.
Not in this section at all.
Yeah.
In fact, you know that it's a very large library, like thousands upon thousands of books, which is actually hard to get. Think about it. Everyone's handwritten, so I mean it's not like a printed copy.
So this is a big deal.
Oh yeah, and you were in a section that's old. So anyway, they come forward, and the one who steps forward, not necessarily a leader, just the one who's speaking, sees how heavily armed you all are, and they notice that they have knives, and they're just saying, "Look, we don't want any trouble. Just get out of this area. Obvious, we see what happened. Don't know how you got here exactly, but get out."
I'm going to use my language ring to speak Dwarven to them. They're Dwarvish, right?
They are dwarves.
And I'm going to...
Either that or very short bearded men.
Right. I'm going to...
You might have to bring her out.
You have to bring her out, that's okay. She might be loud. She might not be. It's 50-50.
I'm gonna have to go get her.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, babe, you're fine. You can bring her out here. It's okay. All right, so you're doing what?
I'm going to essentially tell them, we seem to be lost. We had no idea that this is where we would land, coming through the portal. Clearly, that's what we came from.
Right. So as soon as you start speaking Dwarvish to him, he just... Okay. Friend, he says in Dwarvish, and you guys don't understand this, but he says, "Friend, you know that this is the forbidden section, or at least you can tell by now that this is the forbidden section. Tell your friends to get out now. Don't touch a thing. They're not allowed to read our works. It is forbidden for any dwarf, anyone other than a dwarf, to read these texts." So don't touch a thing. Walk now.
Yeah, I tell him that's not a problem, and I tell everybody let's get out.
But I'm looking for something. So can I like quickly?
Yeah. Roll perception to see if you find.
Come on, be my luck.
If you
good
can
luck
see
charm, okay?
the area that this would be in. Okay. You see that's perfect. That was a really high roll. Okay, with 19 plus. You have a +2. Oh no, plus 5. That's right, because you are
That
perceptive.
makes me happy because I always have a low perception.
So you actually see the exact bookcase that you were searching for. You were just about there. You were about 2 things away. The problem is that the book you see perfectly where it was is missing, and it looks like it's recently been taken.
The guy who left.
But the good news is that he hasn't.
All right.
That's what you notice. He must have taken that because it's like perfectly outlaid where something's missing. All right.
Okay.
Fortunate for you, you rolled that high. I love that game. I love this game for that reason because you just never know. All right, and okay. So as you're stepping out, everyone's fine. The scholars are understanding. However, there's a man in very ornate robes and a big hat
A wizard.
coming down the
I imagine
coming
like
just
this-
rushing. You can tell he was. It's the middle of the night, even though it's underground. You can tell. You just see like the puffy red under his eyes, and he's just stepping forward, and he's just like, no, do not let them move. Don't let them come out. He's like, hold on right here. And so everyone kind of does a semicircle. You can tell he's got a lot of power and authority behind him. And he says, we are not to let them leave. I don't trust them. They came out of a portal. We don't know where that portal came from. We don't know what they're here for. We can't just let them come through our gates. Through a gate. And
He's a dwarf also.
yes, he's speaking in Dwarvish. You're the only one that understands this. But he says we must take him to Dwarf. He'll know what to do.
We came here from the astral plane. We were directed to you by a Gith who knew that this was a safe place for us to travel. It was either that or the abyss, and this is simply where we came out. We had no
Okay,
idea.
I want
this
you
is
to
where
roll
we'd be.
persuasion because that is true. That is what you.
And that would make a 7.
All right. No one heard it, but it sounded very convincing. However, he's not totally convinced, and
Yeah.
he does have you not chained or locked up or anything, but they walk you in a single file. Start walking you in a single file away, and you've heard of Dayrosh before. He's head of a household. It's house.
And I understood that they're taking this.
probably
You
heard
heard
the
the
name.
name.
Okay.
And so you hear Dayrosh, and he's of a house named Ohan. And they are a good people, like really nice house. They're not as wealthy as they used to be, and they're kind of joked about in the city. But the man himself is a very strong leader in the area. Kind of like a mayor, but without the status. It's kind of a council. But he's just an important member. He's over things that are like mystical and over the library. So, but he can be very harsh when it comes to punishment. All right. Unless you do anything else, that is where you're headed at the moment.
I just don't think there's anything we can do. We're in the blocked off
In this,
section of the
in this
library.
particular part,
I pull out my sword and start hacking dwarves. I'm just kidding.
it is an option.
I'm just. No,
All right,
that's not
so-
what I'd do.
No. So they take you. It doesn't take you much more than 15 minutes to traverse some stairs that head up the side, and you know Nok-Reshal pretty well by now. She's been here for a while, and there's steps, and it's just 5 levels, and it's massive. There's at least 30,000 dwarves, maybe I want to say 5,000 human, maybe 100 elves. Not highly populated by anyone else other than dwarves, because it is their capital. But anyway, you find this area. It goes up for a long way, and then there's a sort of elevator, I should say, but it's not an elevator. It's more of a lift, run by steam of some sort. But it lifts you, and you go a long ways up, and you find that you're in the mountain somewhere up above, and you see as they open these big bronze doors. Very ornate. You can see that there's like history of dwarves, even though you don't understand the whole situation. what's going on in the doors, but it looks like a history of this house. And as you enter, it's beautiful. It's this great hall, and as soon as it enters the great hall, it's about like 120 feet this way, about I don't know, about 200 feet that way. It's very large, and then it goes into some other rooms. But you can see it has a balcony over some peaks. So for the first time, you take a fresh breath of air in a very long time.
Right.
You and Cry and all these others, they're very excited just to get that mountain crisp air that they've been just breathing nothing but dark, heavy, disgusting Underdark air.
Fungus laden.
Right, right, with monsters and rotting things. So it's refreshing to say the least. Despite the fact that you're out of the Underdark is a relief in and of itself.
Right.
Alright, so as you enter the room, a scholar and wizard steps forward and he says, "What's this about?" And the one who is so upset in the ornate robes, he says, "These fellows and these ladies happen to be in the forbidden section." And he's just like, "What?" he's like, "Well, why are they here? Why aren't they in prison? What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, they came through a portal." And he says, there is what, that portal hasn't been used in 5,000 years. And it's a little alarming. You can tell they're very upset. You're the only one that catches most of this. It's broken. It's out, in and out. It's kind of like in Filipino where they're just kind of like occasional words and common. Everyone else is kind of getting the idea. But he stops and he says, "Well, that's different." And he says in common, everyone understands. And then he bids them to go away, and the guards and people that kind of accumulated as you went, just like, what's going on? You know, these people are being escorted. And it's fine. They all leave, and it's just him. And he's just sitting there, and he's got little beads and nice things in his like what's it called, braided
Christmas ornaments.
Right, his Christmas ornaments. He has various accoutrements, and he seems like a very nice guy, but he's got a very stern face and a big scar right across his forehead, bald on top, but big beard on the bottom, and he's wearing like a nice green robe, and he says to you, "Come in and sit down. Where did you come from? Where does this portal lead? Should we be expecting any other visitors?"
The astral plane. I wouldn't expect it. We had people following us, but I don't imagine they would have been able to follow us through that astral plane.
He says, "Okay, well, that's interesting. And do you tell him the story of what happened to you, or do you keep that to yourselves?" I'm asking them right now because that's where we're at, but...
I mean, just
You're the decider for the group, since the group
enough
isn't
for
here.
him to understand. I mean, I don't want to tell him everything, but...
How far do you go back?
Probably the Underdark, being chased into the Underdark.
Okay. So he asks where you came from into the Underdark. Why did you flee into the Underdark?
We were being chased.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you tell him that you came from El Jaldara and you were slaves. Okay.
Not that we were slaves,
Not that
but
you were
just that we were
slaves.
being chased.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to make sure how much information you're
Yeah.
deciding to share.
Yeah, I don't think they.
And he said,
know.
"So all of you were from this same party the whole time?"
Well, while he was talking, I'm looking for a place for me to like kind of slip away and hide a little bit because I do want to hear what's going on because I'm like really curious.
Well, probably as
But
soon as they mentioned
I
El
don't
Jaldara.
want them to mention that I wasn't with them because then they will know that I was in the forbidden
Which is actually convenient to be caught with a group of people coming out of a portal.
Right.
But I think that I don't know them and I'm afraid they're going to rat me out.
Right. Let me see.
So, do I...
No, okay, so Odion sees you kind of slipping back, and he also slips back with you. Like this, like, perfect, like, synchronicity, as you're both, like, moving away. He's, like, keeping pace with you. He notices you're escaping.
Like-
and he kind of comes up to you and says, "It's okay, lass." And he just goes back, and you don't know what to make of that, what that means. And you're just kind of freaked out that he was, like, gliding along with you.
But I want to stay close to him because I know that he has what I want.
Yeah, well, he
Well,
probably
I'm
knows
guessing,
that you know.
guessing that he
right.
has what I want. It's just curious to me.
Yes, it is, I'm sure. So he says to you, you know, "Well, that's quite a story. I don't know what to say. It's an interesting moment, but you did destroy many works in our
And I respond before he even finished the sentence. Is, by the way, who in their right minds puts a forbidden library on a portal?
He's like, well, that is interesting. That would be great grandfather's way back, and I bet you anything that there was nothing there. They probably thought it was ornate after a while, but we knew it to be a portal. We just thought it was closed. We thought it was a pretty rock sculpture on the ground. Turns out we were wrong. We made mistakes.
Right.
And, we'll spend many hours replacing those works.
I would suggest moving the library.
Duly noted. And he laughs and he claps his hands, which are like these big, rough, like callousy hands we've seen like men that have worked like really hard their whole life. Obviously, he's worked with some kind of smithy.
Tool.
You yourself you have a few calluses yourself from your year and a half of hard labor in the making tools and leather working.
Leather stuff, yeah.
And so you've seen,
Yeah.
you see just instantly these big hands clap, and you just know he's not just a figure.
He's not a highbrow.
Right, he works for
Yeah.
whatever he does, whatever it is. And some servant walks in. It's a younger dwarf man, barely has a beard at all, and he comes and he already has drinks in hand, and he comes out and he pours it all in front of you and hands out goblets. They actually look really fine. Like, to you, just drinking anything at this point would be like heaven, you know.
Right.
So, and he bids you all to sit down. Now, do you all sit down?
I guess
There's various chairs and couches and things.
Who's
of
all in
that
the room?
nature.
It's just us and him.
It's all of the party, including the new one.
And
Don't
and
sit, but I hover.
You kind of like lean.
Like I'm
Strategically.
there, but I'm not going to like.
You act aloof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just because like I'm still not sure.
Sure. No, that's fine.
are there how many? I mean, there's just one door in and out of this room. Are we in the Great Hall?
You're in the Great Hall
The
still.
huge room
Yes.
with a lot of doors and entrances.
Right, and then there's a balcony at the very edge of it.
Yeah, I'll sit down.
I mean, it's got draperies that are blowing the wind.
And the
but-
balcony overlooks like so we're high on the
Mountain.
mountain.
Oh yeah, he's.
So I can't like jump off.
You could, but unless you were a rogue that could scale things, I wouldn't recommend it. You might. I mean, I can't tell you no, but
Depends on your roll.
yeah, it depends on where you land.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's very excited. You can tell that he easily is excited about adventure, and as soon as you start telling him the story, he just, his eyes light up, and the way he asks you these questions, it's all about the story. You just retell the whole thing up to the point where you were in Nozdra. You didn't say you were slaves, but everyone has kind of told their end of the story, little bits about monsters, little things about here and there, and he's all very fascinated. But it starts getting late. I mean, it was already dark, but it's probably around 1 a.m. at this point. All of you are extremely tired already. So, I mean, talking in a nice, comfortable location. Some of you have already passed out. Alana's snoring heavily, and he says, "Well, I would ask you where you're staying tonight, but you obviously don't know much about where you are. There is an inn close by, but you angered quite a few people by destroying some works, so I think it's best that you stay in my house tonight. We have several rooms already prepared for you. You may stay there, but I ask you, please do not leave this area. I can't promise your safety as of tonight."
I want to roll perception on him.
In particular, what? Are you doing like an insight check?
Is
Like,
is he luring us
Oh,
into something? That's
I would say roll an insight check.
Insight?
To see if he's lying to you.
that would make sense. That would make sense. Natural 20.
You see he's 100% forthright. You see that he's genuinely kind, and he enjoys your company, and feels, you can see him like honored that this group is in his house.
Okay.
Probably doesn't get much company these days.
So are we in his house now, or he's just inviting
Well,
us?
you're in the Great Hall. There's, you can see down the hallway there is a bit, like off to the side, as you've kind of wandered a little bit in the room.
Uh-huh.
There is a hallway that has several doors, but you can't really tell much about it. But he directs you in that direction if you are choosing to sleep.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm confident that.
So do you tell the group, or you just kind of?
Yeah. I mean, for as much
You're
as,
acting as leader
as much
of the
as they'll
group.
trust me. Yeah.
Not like her, but at the moment, since no one else of the group
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah, I guess I tell the group he seems trustworthy. I mean, apparently some other people are pissed off at us, but he seems like he's genuine. So.
And Odeon, as they're having this conversation, kind of slinks back towards you, very calmly and very fluid. And he comes over to you and says, "Now, since it's all quiet over here, what were you looking for?"
I think you know what I was looking for.
I think I know what you think I'm looking for. The question is, why do you want that book?
I don't think that's really in your business.
He says, "I think I like you already." And he says, "We'll talk more." And he starts walking down the hallway by himself already. Like, as soon as he starts pointing down there, he wanders off. And he doesn't need to sleep. You know that. It's a ability he's gained recently as a warlock.
And I don't need to sleep either because I'm an elf, right?
It's 4 hours
yeah,
total.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not even night to you compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
You do need to sleep, but not very long.
So technically, it's meditation, right?
Right. It's
not
more
even
of
night.
a state of rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just have to say you're resting. Okay, so you are.
This is a new race for me.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
always human.
Always human. All right, so do any of you choose to stay in the Great Hall and speak with him further, or are you going to bed?
Well, where is Odeon going?
He's gone down the hallway at some point. There are servants. There's like at least 3 you've
Okay,
seen.
well, I'm following him because I don't want him out of my sight because I want that book.
All right, so you see him head down the hallway. Third door on the left is opened for him by one of the servants, and you see him enter, and the servant shuts it. And then he sees you coming, and he says, "Would the lady prefer this bedroom or this bedroom?" He kind of starts pointing to the one on the right, one over here.
And I just open up the door and I go in.
And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." And propriety is that men and women aren't even supposed to be in the same room together without escorts. So it's a very, very.
I just give him a
so,
look.
so when you go in there, he's just like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were together." And as soon as you walk in, Odeon is already just waiting for you. He has the book out on the desk, and he's just like. And so he has it open, and you see it's in Sylvan.
Oh.
Which is actually the Fae language.
And I speak that.
And she does. And so does he. And
of course he does.
Yes, of course he does.
Dang it, I was hoping
Something you don't know
he'd
about
be
him
that.
is that he knows a lot of languages. We don't know much about him. So
Well, I don't know anything about him except he has my book.
So he asks you, "So you were sneaking in here. You know that's punishable by death. This must be important to you. Probably as important to you as it is to us."
Well, you asked me why I want it, but why do you want it?
Revenge. Straight revenge. Very simple.
Okay then.
So I'm from Eljaldra. I lived there for my whole life. I was a priest of Varun, which is the death god. And I didn't want to do any more sacrifices, and I spoke against my masters, and I was put into prison. And because of that, I met the people I'm with right now. They were all slaves against their will. We decided together that the best course of action is to cut off the heads of the snakes. That was what was decided, correct?
Oh yeah, we swore we
like did a blood pact in the Underdark.
Yeah.
We're gonna kill all of them.
Yeah. Oh, I told Ammonia straight to his face, "I'm gonna come back and wreck you."
You almost did. You almost killed him. He's a
Yeah.
permanent scar.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
no Maroon,
I
though.
swore to him that I'd bring down his society. I mean,
Yeah, they were a
I
little
did.
offended.
Yeah.
Odeon tells you, because they were a little offended at being slaves. So, but that doesn't really answer my question. What you want with it? This is an ancient text.
I think both of our desires coincide. I think that we can help each other out.
You see him. You see this big grin go across his face. He says, "I figured as much. Not many people are looking for a book about this primordial race, unless they are looking for ways to defeat them." And he says, "Well, the interesting thing is that we can't keep this book very long. They will find out that we have this book. So, I say we find the pages we need, quickly copy or do something. We can't rip them out, they'll know. And then someone will have to return it." And he looks at you. He says, "You got in there. Do you have a way to get in that I don't know about?" You could make this up. I mean, you could literally make
Well,
up
obviously, since I got in there.
anything. Yeah, right, but I mean,
I don't.
you don't know anything about him. He may have been here before.
Yeah. Well, you seem to know exactly where it was, where it took me a little bit longer to find it.
So fine. Yeah, I may have been in this section before, but I was never looking for that book. The question I have is, how long have you been here?
I've been here
As long as you...
I've been here a long time, huh?
Yeah, you
In
don't have
this
many
city?
funds left. You're,
Yeah.
that's what you have as far as money.
I usually have so much more.
Yeah, you are a noble.
Um,
I mean, he doesn't know that. Sorry.
Did I steal money from Ammonius?
You...
Wondering where I got my money from. I can't remember.
You guys have found some on various Underdark bodies and things. Not much.
With a get from the drow.
Oh, by the way, you all have Piwafwis, and is that how you say them?
Pewafwi, yeah.
Piwafwi. They're like cloaks that Dark Elves have.
Probably better store it.
Yep. Not in the light. You don't want those.
Do I know that?
Odion has it in his bag. You saw him shoving various bits of drow armor and everything, just
Okay.
shoving it into the bag.
So he grabbed it all.
Oh
He
yeah,
has
yeah.
it all,
I mean, it's a bag of holding. You can just
Right.
where you guys were sleeping that
That's
night.
right. That's right. I remember
That's
that.
what he was doing. He
I
was
remember
living.
that,
All right. So your conversation. He says, "Well, then we best hurry." So they start looking through the book. Is there anything you want to speak to him about before I run to what they're doing?
I think we're just gonna look through the book.
Okay.
I don't want to give him too much information because even though
You seem like you're on the right path. You still don't know.
yeah,
Right.
because it's pretty crazy. Like what I want to do with the book, and so finding someone who actually wants to do this. You know,
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yes,
crazy people are unpredictable.
that's true.
So is it just Cry and me with the
Hello, Zinthos. Salvatore cloaks. Right.
We have.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
yeah.
Our internet's not that good right now. huh?
No, I'm sorry. The internet looks like we are rubbed with Vaseline, but
Sorry about
I'm a
that.
blob. But you can hear us probably pretty fine. And if,
Yeah.
if you can't, I apologize. But we're figuring it out. We might have to just shove the modem right on you. Like, no, you get it. Go. All right.
Yeah. Is it just Cry and me with the dwarf? What was his name? Did he tell us?
Darash.
Darash. That's right, Darash.
Yes.
So I want to tell I want to ask him. So we're in the Grimmire Peaks now, right, or close to it?
Yeah, it's located like the bottom section. So if you look right here, it comes down right here. That's all the Grimmire Peaks, but them in particular are the peaks that they're referring to.
Okay.
The mountain range itself is called the peaks, but
Oh, okay. Okay. I want to just say we were looking for an Aasimar that was supposed to be in this region. Had you ever heard of anybody coming through or anything? We're trying to track him down.
is it, well, I don't particularly know of any, but there are different houses that entertain different guests. Something you should know about our society is that we really, anyone of importance that comes to our city, different houses will find that person and house them, and it's a great honor for us. So it's possible one of the other houses have seen an Aasimar come in, because, I mean, quite frankly, if I ever met one, I would be totally excited, because they're essentially touched of gods, and we are mere mortals that live under the dirt. So it would be a very important thing for us to see an Aasimar. But how would you recognize one?
They seem pretty normal, but
You and Claire are both kind of smirking.
they seem like pretty normal people. I don't imagine you get a lot of normal people up here.
He's like, well, no, it's typically dwarves and dirty elves like your friend. I apologize. But, I mean, that being said,
Yes.
he's like, well, overall, it's pretty much dwarves here. So anyone that's coming out of the city that's a bit notable. So I would ask other families.
Do I know the timeline that this person came through?
Yes, that would have been about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I would say that to him. It
Yeah.
would have been about 2 years ago that they would have
Yeah.
been here,
Just
and we
2
think
years
they're
ago.
around still
So I have a great memory,
somewhere.
like a steel trap, but nothing
Okay.
2 years ago.
Maybe you could put your fillers out for me.
Oh yes, of course. Mind you, yeah, I'll find out. How discreet do you want them to be? You want I could have a herald sent out, and they could announce, or you could, or I could be a little bit on the safer side.
Probably not trumpeting through the streets.
Yeah, because we could do that. It would be quite simple to find.
Probably not that much.
I will ask some of the underlings of the other houses.
Is this Aasimar a friend of ours that we're looking for? Oh, okay, yeah. So
You want to kill them.
that's right. That's right. Because we're like demon hunters or
Yeah,
whatever.
they've gone to the dark side, and Azrael himself said to go kill this Aasimar.
Yeah,
So,
so-
yeah, you don't
no,
want them to know you're
We don't want them to know we're coming. Yeah, yeah. Discreet would be best.
Actually, he says, well, you don't tell him that you want to kill him, but
Yeah.
you tell him to see if they can find him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, I'll get some of my underlings on it tonight. Great. And so he calls a few of his servants and says something in Dwarvish. Your stuff is wearing off.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't understand anymore.
Yeah.
And then he tells them to go off, and that's what they do for the rest of the night.
Well, I think I'm okay finding a bed for the rest of the night at this point.
Okay, so you are directed down the hallway. He himself goes off. You see his wife come out, and she's just like, "When are you coming to bed?" it's like really late. And
You're gonna have guys' night all night.
you and your friends. And finally you come. It's a long night. You and Odeon stay up most of the night. You don't find particularly anything that you're looking for. You do find a few pages. The whole book is about the primordials. This is a group that is just. You do find out that they do have. Always are led typically by an anathema, which is what the biggest one, like the leader, is. Typically in Yuan-Ti society, little side note, they're not led by that, but these ones are warlike, and they tend to take over areas. They're like, Yuan-Ti don't necessarily always have to be as vicious as they are. They'll be vicious in their land, but with an anathema at the head, they are warlike and search for slaves, and they gather them and sacrifice them. So, anyway, side note. But yeah, so you did find out that information that this particular area is always led by a very large person in disguise that is very hard to kill.
Okay.
That's all you found out during the night, but you've had to sleep a little bit. Odeon stays up, reading. All right, in the morning you find Odeon actually in deep discussion with Dayrosh. You all wake very, very well rested. I mean, sleeping in luxury, actually, in D&D, you actually are extremely happy. I mean, you wake up with all wounds healed. You're just magically amazing.
Amazing.
In fact, they give you Lucky Charms for breakfast. All right, so his you see that his eyebrows are furrowed, Dayrosh, as he's speaking to Odeon. Odeon's having a very serious conversation. Do you all come out at once? Who's up first? Tell me the whole situation.
Upon waking, I actually want to spend some time attuning myself to my languagery. I want to understand a little bit more about it.
Okay, so I want you to roll Arcana.
Okay. 15.
Okay. You do understand that this the language ring has 3 stones in it. They're all the shade of like a dark green when they're not when they've been used, and when they're not, they look like an emerald when they're like a brighter emerald. So the one that you had used last night is now back.
Okay.
So it seems Dawn
Some
refused
sort of.
it.
Okay.
So you probably can use it 3 times a day, and then the next day. You're not sure if it just lucked out that way,
Right.
because the 15 is pretty close, but you know that it refills at a dawn point.
Okay. Okay.
Not necessarily sun touching, but beginning of a new day.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? What are you doing in the morning? You wake up, Odeon's not in the room. You've actually fallen asleep on the desk. You slept well, but...
And the book is gone.
Well, yeah, he's probably hiding it somewhere. You don't see it in the room.
Can I search the room?
You may.
Okay.
Absolutely. Roll investigation.
Ah. 4.
No, I was on a 1. You trip and die.
4 plus 2.
You can hear just
so.
fine. Thank you very much, Zenthos. I appreciate that. I'm going to rewatch this. We still look like we're marshmallow people.
Oh, but it's a little bit better. It's not as
yeah,
bad.
I mean, you can tell what color shirts we're wearing.
The
so
internet
that's
has
nice.
been really weird all day.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we got a like? It's so cool. Anyway, I just liked it. Just for fun. Anyway, guys, this is great. I'm having fun. I missed this. All right, so as soon as you walk out there,
I'm like looking at your notes, but
Soon
like not
as
really
don't-
reading
Yeah,
them.
I
I'm not reading it.
I
I'm
know.
just looking.
Don't worry, I barely read them. I
I
write.
have a really
I write.
hard time.
I write novels.
Not.
I write novels and novels of notes. I read maybe 10 lines of it. All right. I get the idea though. I write it so I remember it. Okay, so you walk out there. He's talking to him. Odeon's having a deep conversation. It's all hush hush. But you catch the tail end of the conversation. He says, "I personally have never heard of such a ritual, but I can see that you are sure of it. That section would be forbidden in the section of the library. Too bad you can't go back into it. But definitely, if you had such a book, you could probably complete that ritual." So you see him asking questions like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Maybe something about opening up portals.
You aren't sure what he did.
Okay.
I mean, really, you don't
What,
know
who did?
anything about the book.
Oh yeah.
You
Okay.
just know that he went away
Yeah.
and that they spent the night together.
I could assume he
You're assuming-
probably was taking.
You
a
can
book.
assume that they spent the night together, and that was
Oh.
odd. You're
Yeah.
just like Odeon works quickly,
Mm.
or they're friends, or they
That one
knew each
doesn't waste
other.
any time.
I mean, really, I mean, it is odd. They
Yeah.
spent the night together.
Yeah.
You have no idea who I
You
am.
no idea. No idea. You haven't had a conversation of what's her name.
All right.
You know, so I mean, as far as you know, like you just trust Odeon. You're just like
Right.
whatever he's doing, you know.
Right.
In fact, Cry at one point during the night said, "So does Odeon know her? Like, what's going on there?"
I don't know. It's really odd. They're both dodgy characters.
All right, so
This is new for me because my characters are usually like really like straightforward and like brash and
yeah,
you know.
well, she plays barbarians and rogues, so this is
so
the
this is
thing.
like being like secretive is like weird.
It's gonna be fun. It'll be interesting. All right, so okay, let's see here. All right, so you see him explaining things, but he stops when you enter. He's not like he's hiding it, but he just realizes the conversation is going to grow, and he doesn't want this to be a big open thing.
Right.
So Odeon turns to everyone and says, "How was that night's sleep? A little bit better than dirt and wondering if we're going to get eaten by giant purple worms under the earth."
Yeah.
And so Dara says, "So what's the plan for today? More libraries to destroy?"
Sounds like a lovely afternoon.
Okay, so since I couldn't find anything in the room because I'm like so horrible at investigating.
You like it was more like the shock of he's gone, and then sleepy eyes, frantic search.
So I just am trying. I just go back into the Great Hall because I want to like stay near because I'm still a little.
You're not sure if they're gonna rat you out.
Yeah. But I don't know about them. But I'm worried that he's gonna like that he found something in the book
And didn't want to tell you.
and isn't sharing.
Oh, gotcha.
So
All right, so they're still having a conversation, but it's turned to like weather and news and things like that. You hear of different things, but as you come into the room, he comes over to you himself, and everyone continues their conversation. Darosh comes over to you and says, I put out my feelers last night, and believe it or not, someone came back with some information, and I am shocked.
Really?
Yes, Aasimar look like normal people. They, there was one, very murdery. He came right through here and killed several people,
Okay.
and he was said to be headed towards a cave that no one goes into. They call it, I don't know how to say it in your tongue, the Petrified Angel Cave. I know that sounds terrible, but in Dwarvish it's much more ornate. It sounds beautiful, quite frankly, but it's exactly that. There are angels there have died or been petrified, and they are in that cave.
What happened? What?
I have no idea. That's just what I was told.
That's where he went. Do you know where that is?
That's where he went at the time. I don't know if he's still there, but it's no more than a day's journey.
Okay.
And it's topside,
Okay.
which might be important to you after being in the Underdark.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just, now, if he's still there, I have no idea.
Why doesn't anybody go there?
Well, angels petrified terrifies people. It's more of it sounds like a curse, so no one even bothers to head to the place.
Okay.
A few people have gone in there. Young lads, they want to go in there and test their might, and they'll go in there and they'll take a feather of one of the angels and bring it back, and it brings them luck, all that.
Okay.
If you ask me, I don't think any of it's true. I don't think they go in there at all and they carve it themselves. Quite crafty people, in all sorts of a sense.
Okay, great.
That's the only lead I have. I'm sorry. I just know that he'd murdered people, was wanted for several of the murders of random people in the city. I don't know what he was doing, but nothing unusual. But I don't trust Aasimar myself now. I thought they were kind people.
Oh, trust me, this one's not a normal Aasimar.
He said, "How do you know him?"
We were charged with finding him.
Oh, interesting. Charged by whom? Are you part of a guild?
I don't believe I'm at liberty to say.
He's like, oh, yes, I understand. I'm not at liberty to say what guild I'm part of. So, yes. All right, well, interesting. I can't find anything else out for you, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I think that's information enough. Thank you.
All right, so with that, he says, so is there anything else that you need in our city? If you go out in the city, I'd like for you to wear my colors. And if you go out in my colors, people won't bother you, especially those that are upset about last night. And as soon as he even starts saying this, one of his servants runs off and starts pulling some tailored, nice green and blue robes with a gold trim, and he starts measuring you guys from the back and just looking at you all. And some of them have been pre-made, he was already planning this as you were sleeping. Did they measure you while you're sleeping? I don't know.
Yeah.
So as one approaches you, what do you do? What are you thinking of this whole situation? You had nothing to do with this.
Exactly.
You're just what is happening right now?
I feel pretty impatient with the situation, which is unusual for me because usually I take my time with things, and I find other people's impatience annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't like dwarves. And I really have been in this city for
Actually, you notice the one that's measuring you is stepping up at least a foot away from compared to everyone else. He's just kind of measuring at a distance.
And
he knows your distrust and vice versa.
If any of them touch me, I might
break an arm.
Probably. I've been here too long, and I'm just tired of being here, and I'm aggravated because the thing that I wanted is now out of my reach, but still I can kind of get there, but I don't even, there's these wild cards that have been thrown in, so I'm irritated.
So you're over there just kind of
like this.
Yeah, with a standoffish, don't mess
don't
with
touch
me.
me.
You got that face.
Exactly.
All right, so
I'm gonna tell him. Tell you what, I really don't want to change out of what I'm wearing. I feel well protected with what I'm wearing. Why don't you just give me like a sash with your colors or
It's
something?
like, that being said, how do I put this? You all reek. Well, that is to say, you all reek. You don't, but the rest of you smell like death. To wear my colors, I suggest possibly having a quick bath before going out.
Oh, that's fine.
We live underground, but we're clean.
That's fine, but I don't really want to wear a full suit of somebody's colors.
Would you like your armors and cloaks cleaned before you go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And how about you give me a sash with your colors on it or something? I don't know.
Yes, perfect. And
Don't waste your time.
So the guy doing the robe is just like, he'd already pre-made it, and he's just like, okay. And a couple hours go by, you're all clean, you've had breakfast, which is a hearty breakfast, dwarven breakfast, which lots of alcohol. And you can either abstain from it or not, but they gave you a lot of food and various meats. I mean, it's just like, you didn't know what you wanted.
It feels very suspicious to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just like paranoid.
Well, it's
but
me DMing. It's always dead. In this case, you rolled a 20 and told you, but you don't know him very well.
You know I rolled a 20. And
you know it.
me.
You're like, how was your roll?
But he was that's the thing though. He was honest about like
Giving us a room
exactly.
without trying to stab us in our sleep.
True,
but like
true.
it just seems kind of odd that he tried to keep you guys like us. I guess I'm gonna include myself in the group. Keep us here.
Yeah.
And like kind of like stake a claim on us.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So
I want you to roll history on dwarf culture.
I'm the worst roller.
You have paid almost no attention to dwarf culture in your long time here.
Because I just don't
You just
care.
avoid them. So every time you see one, you're just like, anyway.
I guess I'm just naturally like suspicious of dwarves.
and that's
as
totally
an
fine.
elf.
As an elf, that's fine. In this world, racism is a big deal with elves and dwarves.
I'm trying not to be mean.
No, you're good. You're
I
good.
just don't trust
I'm not
them.
racist, but all dwarves are short, and they're
all
almost
hairy.
always mean. I don't trust them.
They're just crabby. They always have an agenda.
I can't tell you how many people I've had tell me
Say
stuff
things
like that.
Or in real life,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, so despite that, everything is going pretty well. You get all ready for the day, and it does feel good to get all scraped clean of all the muck and filth. And you feel like a new person. Whether you shave or not, that's up to you, but you definitely feel that cleanliness. And it's reassuring because most of you had blood on you from various beasts and your own. So it's...
Do I need to shave?
No.
Do Asimar
Where-
need to shave? That's what I'm wondering.
They can grow facial hair. It's
So
not,
I have like a godly beard.
Yeah, I'm not. It's getting there. It's thick and beautiful, just like your hair. He has black hair. Cry has white hair.
Okay, so where is Odeon during all of this?
Odeon bathed in the middle of the night at one point. He's actually just in this
He
main
probably
room talking to
bathed in
Darosh.
fairy dust given to him by the trickster.
Okay, so I'm just going to stay by him.
Okay.
I'm just like kind of like lingering, like so I can kind of hear, but I don't.
Okay.
But
And
I'm just lingering.
just as you're all getting ready, someone comes to the large doors, and you hear some talking outside through just like metallic sounds. And Darosh is bid to come out and speak to someone. And as he does, Odeon turns to everyone who's now out, and which is the whole party, and says, "I have some information that you all may need to know. I've not told you something that I have been meaning to for some time, but I feel like now is a good time before it all comes out into the light, as I am now out of something that kept it hidden for some time." And you're all a little confused, just like, what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
He turns to you and says, I wasn't just a priest. I masqueraded as a priest.
Wow.
I masqueraded as a priest.
One of
for
those
some time."
campaigns.
He's like, I wasn't just a priest. I also did some things I wasn't proud of for some time for the Order of the Serpent. It's a small group of assassins, and I'm not an assassin myself, but they would have me accompany them to help them out with things. And the only people that can enter that have to do certain things to become part of the group, and that is become this. And he goes like this over his eyes, and for the first time, you see what his eyes actually look like. And they are serpent eyes. He is Yonti.
Oh.
But he's something called a pureblood, and he explains what pureblood is, and it's that we're not quite changed, but we have feats and abilities and poison abilities out of our mouths and terrible things that we have to suffer with from what we've dealt with. So now that you know that what I truly am, you can choose to still trust me or not. But I'm just letting you know now because the ability to hide this is tiresome. If you just want to know what I am, I will just let you know what I am.
But that's what...
The slavers were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, definitely. But he was in prison for who knows how long, and decided to tell you now. Now, that's up to you to trust him or not, but that's...
I'm going to ask him, why is this coming out now?
Well, like I said, there are diviners here, there are magicians, and different people that can spot illusions and stop them. Now, if we walk into an area that has anti-magic or anti-something, and my eyes suddenly change, I don't want you all to be suddenly wary of me, or kill me, or or think that I've tricked you in some way. I just... I didn't know you, and you didn't know me, and we fought together in the arena, and I felt like I couldn't just tell you straight out, hey, you know our captors, I was one of them at one point.
Insight?
Yeah.
Isn't that what the book was?
18.
18. He's telling the truth. You can, from what you can tell, he's 100% forthright about everything that he just said to you. And Cry's taken aback. Alana is angry. She's cursing under breath, and she isn't known us quite as long, but he's a little embarrassed. You can tell, but he's just being honest at this point because he knows that there are magic people here that can stop an illusion at any time. He's been casting one repetitively for the entire time you've known him.
I tell him, you know, I understand. It was a secret that you had, and we met under strange circumstances. And
imagine being in the pens with a bunch of slaves that know you're a pureblood.
Yeah,
It's a good shanking.
yeah.
But he decided to tell you now because it's possible it could come out. A very unfortunate
Had it
situation.
come out sooner, we may not have worked with you. So
He says, "Why, thank you for trusting
I
me."
feel like you're being
and he
honest.
says, "And there's something else that I need to show you." And he reaches into the book and pulls out like a Mary Poppins bag.
Wait, he reaches into the book and pulls out a Mary Poppins bag?
It's crazy. he reaches
book
in
of
and
holding.
pulls out a book like the Mary Poppins bag, like it's pulling up.
Oh, okay.
He pulls
I'm
it
so
out,
confused.
and you see
And
this.
this is the book
Yeah,
that we were
you see
reading.
this
Okay.
for the first time you're seeing it. It's this black leather book, and on further inspection, it's actually like the underside of a dragon. It's very, very well put together. The pages are a little frayed and old, but they aren't written on normal type of paper that you'd see, just really old symbols and things like that. As he opens this up, he says, "I think I have found something to help us. It's in this book. She knows about this book. I didn't tell you about this. That's what we were doing last night, lest you think anything else. This book is very important to the key to understanding this people. I found a ritual, which I was asking our good friend about, and he said that..."
And you didn't care to mention this last night?
"You fell asleep, my dear."
Well, I'm pretty sure that's something you should wake one up for.
"Oh, I don't dare wake enough." And so he says, I can't tell you all about it right now, but I can tell you that it's a very sinister ritual.
What's
We
its
need to
purpose?
find a way, the purpose of it. If we can get these pieces, put them together, and the reason why I bring it up is because he mentioned angel wings. We're going to need a couple. which isn't safe to do.
Yeah.
So
You need a couple of angel wings or just feathers?
oh wait, particularly sorry, I apologize. Feathers. Yes.
Okay, because wings, that's big.
Quite a bit
That's a
more
lot.
dangerous. He said, so we're going to need to, we need a few things, some of which we happen to already gather along the way, but this is a bit more dangerous.
So I asked him, so what do you know about? So does he know that I spoke with this guy about the cave?
No.
Oh, okay. So I tell him I know where we can get some angel feathers.
Which is
Not too far from here.
That's convenient.
He's like, I actually know of this cave. He's like, I've been around this area before.
Okay. What do you know about this cave?
I know no one goes in there.
Because.
Because there's a beast in there that turns people to stone. Or
Another basilisk.
Or, he says, that is one theory. I think that they were fallen angels and they were cursed and someone put them there. That's my theory. There's several theories. That's the two I know.
Okay.
A beast isn't very likely. Several angels being tricked by a beast into stone.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
So were these angels? Well,
So he shows you the list. One dragon tooth. Now, as he mentions this, he points up, there's actually a dragon head on the wall. There's various beasts on the wall that have been laid out. He says, have someone to get up there and get one of those. We could just, that might be good. It didn't say it had to be fresh.
Fresh too.
Basilisk eye. We happen to have one.
Oh, so sorry.
An ounce of demon blood. We don't have, but you can find demons, right? And he said, and the hand of an Aasimar, which incidentally is the exact same direction we're going. He says, oh, and 5 feathers from 5 different angels. So, we're almost there. We've almost got this. Now, I do have to admit, I have known this ahead of time. That's why I got us into the arena in the first place. Don't hurt me, it was my fault. He says, the whole reason we were in the arena in the first place, I may have suggested that you were excellent fighters at one point.
I'm starting to feel a little manipulated, Odeon.
A little bit, but I needed to kill them. You didn't like being slaves. I felt like this was a win-win. Again, I didn't want to tell you until now because this is the situation we're in. But I felt like forthrightness at this point is the best mode of stepping forward. The best foot forward, I'm sorry. No more manipulations, I promise. The good news is that we have most of these things. This isn't a great task. We need to find a demon and somehow take its blood. And we need to cut off the hand of an Aasimar, and we need 5 feathers from 5 different celestials, and we know where the cave is. Which is where your quarry is, so it's kind of a good thing.
We could ask, do dwarves ever do summonings?
Dwarves?
I mean, they have wizards, right?
So Dwarf has been standing at the door for a little bit. He sees you're all talking. He doesn't want to approach. He's being polite. But as soon as
the book out?
The book is out. So as he steps forward and he starts, he noticed you said dwarves, and he's like, yes, yes, yes. What's going on? And he hears you talking. Then he looks down at the book, looks back at you guys, and continues to listen. Then looks back at the book a couple more times. And at this point, you're just like, oh no, the book's out. And does anyone say anything or do anything before he says anything?
I'm gonna step to the side and make him face me and ask him a question. And just say we're trying to do something specific.
Okay.
And we need demon's blood.
He blinks several times before answering. That's a strange request. He's like, why?
Let's see, did Odeon tell us what this thing does?
I don't think you finished telling us because I'm trying to remember what. The
I tried to
purpose
ask him, but he sidestepped it.
Yes, he did.
was. Yes.
I don't know if he was trying to be facetious. He was just
Right.
he remembered he had to tell you something.
Yeah. It's to take down some mighty foes.
That was sneaky, right? Take down some mighty folks. So you start talking to him, and
I'm giving them a chance to like sleight of hand, replace it with something else.
I do actually have a little bit more of a sleight of hand, but I'm. I don't know. I kind of. Yes, I guess. But I don't want it to look like I'm the one that stole the book. Because it wasn't me. Now, if I had, I would take. No, I wouldn't take responsibility.
there are consequences for every action, and sometimes not doing something is the best course of action. He kind of pushes you aside, and he says, "I apologize. I will answer that question. And no, I don't have a way of finding demon blood, and heaven forbid I ever do. That book, that didn't come from my house. You haven't left, have you?"
What?
He's like, "None of you have left this room.
No.
How did that get here?"
What do you mean?
That big book.
Yeah. We've got bags.
You brought it from the Underdark?
We've been carrying stuff since El
Jadra.
Jadra.
So he doesn't recognize the book.
They have thousands of books.
Aha, see?
No one admitted anything.
Exactly. So,
See? You don't have to just
okay.
say, "We didn't take your book." And he says, "Oh, well, it's beautiful. How old is that book?"
That's not mine.
Odia says, "Oh, yes. This has been in my family for generations. This is the Book of the Fae. It tells about all the Fae and Fae creatures alike." Okay, and... Okay. All right, so he believes him. So,
Okay.
It wasn't a great lie, but he says, "Wow, that's interesting. I can't read Sylvan quite yet. I do understand a few words. Do you mind if I take a peek at it?"
Sure.
All right, so he picks up the book and...
Be very careful.
And yes, he's like, "Well, yes, I work with antiquities. Of course I'm going to be careful." So he carefully opens up first few pages, and he just kind of looks at them. He says, "This is ancient, this book." It's like, "Wow, this is worth more than my house." And he starts opening up, and he reads a few words, and he just says... You just see this frown on his face, just like, "I wish I understood this," you know? And he leaves it be, he puts it back and gently moves it back in the middle of the table. He says, "Well, this probably shouldn't be left out. One of my servants will mistake it. They're so stupid, they'll just dust it and fall to pieces." Alright, so you all have your sessions, you all have your things. You're free to roam around the city. That was one of the town guards, town I should say, it's a city. He says, one of the city guards, he says, "By all means, you're free to walk around. Everyone understands the situation that is offended. There is one particular house that is slightly more offended, but no one cares what they think. And go ahead and explore the city at your leisure. Leave the city if you wish, but please do come back. I really enjoyed your company. I don't know if my wife wants you staying in our house indefinitely, but a couple more nights wouldn't hurt. But that's about it for me."
I wanted to ask him, are there any wizards?
Loads.
Well, let me finish the question.
He's very excited.
Are
very
there
eager to
any
help.
wizards in the area with the capability of summoning lesser demons within a circle of security of some kind, circle of protection, some kind of?
He's like, "Well, that's never been a question I've been asked, but I know that they can do summoning."
Do your wizards perform summonings ever
Teleportation.
from other planes?
They'll for every major city has a teleportation room that they will send people for a great hefty fee. They can teleport you across the entire world if they wanted, but to other planes to summon a demon, I can see that possibly being a thing. You came through the astral plane. I'm sure someone other. Why you'd want to, or if they would, I don't know, but you definitely could.
If it were a lesser demon, we could handle it.
possibly be. You never know what's going to come out of there.
Yeah. Well, a wizard worth his salt.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. Just opens a portal into a lesser demon's house. Hey, come here. They're not stupid.
Well.
But yeah, anyway. He said, well, it could be done, I suppose.
Okay. Alright. I was just wondering.
And
Sounds like it's not a thing.
a strange rapping at the door. Just strange. And Darosh, you can see him put out of place immediately. Looks over at his door and is very confused. And he bids one of his servants to go open it. And an old woman enters. And just enters like past the guy, like pushes past him. She's hunched over to the point where she's like looking at the ground. And you can't really see her face at the moment. She's just looking up at all of you. And Darosh says, "What's the meaning of this? Who are you?" And she looks over at you and points. And she's just, her hand shaking. And she's like bidding you to come close, like her voice is catching. You can't hear her.
Do I know her?
You've never seen her in your life.
Okay. I guess I go over to her.
All right. As soon as you do, she like tells you to come closer because she's like, you hear her kind of coughing and wheezing a little bit.
I don't want to come closer if she's coughing and wheezing. I'm gonna do
like an old person coughing and wheezing, not like I'm infected.
I know,
with
but I'm
coughing
saying
and
like
wheezing.
I don't know. I'm
No.
If I'm wary of the other guy, then I'm gonna be wary of her too. So
Fair enough.
do
Yeah. Do an insight check on this
Okay.
strange person that just entered into the room.
who somehow like knows me or something. 18.
Okay.
Right? I do that and then I add.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Right.
Okay.
And I'm going to allow you to do one more thing. With that high roll, you notice something off about it. I want you to roll an Arcana check.
What's that? This is new. I never have any kind of magic. 18 plus 5.
You see that this is an illusion.
Haha, I thought
That this
so.
is not. In fact, you see it like fade a little bit, and what you see is much worse than the old lady.
Oh.
A faceless man for a second, and then back to, which is the first time any one of you have actually been able to do this,
Right.
because it's been around a few times.
Uh-huh.
So you notice something really off about it, and in fact, you notice it's an old, it's not an old woman. And as soon as you notice, the whole of the room stops. Everyone around you stops moving and is completely quiet, except for you and the faceless man that now is no longer looking like an old woman, that is just looking faceless and very, very like kind, just like, hello, how are you? But not saying that.
The faceless
just-
man looks kind.
Yes, the way they're like moving, just like very like bowing to you. But then he says, "Wow, you noticed me."
Yes.
And he says, "Well, these people you're with, they just don't seem to care. It is a pleasure to finally meet you."
To finally meet me,
Why, yes.
and you wanted to meet me?
For some time. Never have you been near one of my acolytes, so I've never had the chance. You saw right through my disguise.
Wait, what did you say? I've never been.
Acolytes. You've never been one of his acolytes, one of his servants.
I've never known.
No,
Oh,
you've never been near one.
okay.
I like to meet all sorts of important people. Question: would you like to play a quick game before we wake everyone else up and I leave?
What kind of game?
A game of cards. It's not hard. You pick one and I leave.
And what are the stakes?
You have to, or I burn down this room. You feel like this intense. Actually, I want you to roll a wisdom saving throw, just to see how much sanity you have with this. Okay.
9.
Not by much. Okay, but he's got a modifier that's definitely more than 9. Anyway, he.
Oh no.
You feel very uneasy, and you believe him.
Okay. Okay.
He's not necessarily forcing you, but you do
But he
believe what
is.
he's saying
Okay.
to be true.
Can I do like some kind of like a history check or something to
Oh,
see
yeah.
if like maybe
Absolutely.
I know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay. Rolling is
Yeah, they've dealt with this guy once. A couple times.
a natural 20.
You know what he is? Is that what you're searching for?
Yeah.
History, yeah.
You, as an elf, a high elf, have been taught a great deal of all the gods, every single one.
Ah, I was wondering.
Even the old gods,
Ah.
the forgotten gods, the ones that they don't want you to know about,
Like even older than like elves?
older than gods.
Ah.
so,
Okay.
so he's one of those. In fact, you feel honored but terrified in the same breath. You notice that he's very humanistic in the way he moves and acts, but definitely to the point where you don't want to be in his presence much longer. It's like
Okay.
draining you. But you feel kind of sick to your stomach around him. The
Okay,
closer
so
he
it's
is to you.
not a good feeling.
No, but his presence alone makes you want to do what he says.
So do I know who he is?
Yes, you know him as absolutely. He's called the Faceless One.
Okay.
He has
And-
no name. He never has.
And what's
He's a
his
trickster.
purpose? Ha 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 ha. Okay.
He
okay.
is the trickster.
I figured, we're playing a game.
There's several trickster gods, but
he is like the main one.
He's like 1,000 times worse than a Loki in like Thor.
Okay. And so when he says acolyte, he means
We're not
like
talking
one of
Marvel.
those, like he means one of those little lesser trickster
One
gods.
of- one
or
of his
does he
servants.
mean-
One of his servants of any kind.
Oh,
You're near
okay.
Odeon.
Oh.
Odeon is the servant, which you didn't know, but now you do, because Odeon is looking in your direction, and he knew exactly what was going on, except he couldn't say anything.
Okay.
It's a very love-hate relationship that he has. Anyway, he like a jester just opens his hand and just sorry, how many cards? 10 cards. 10 cards are in front of you. You
Okay.
can't see what they are.
All right.
They've all had to do this.
Yep.
And
Let's
he
play
loves
the
to play
game.
games. So I want you to roll a d10, and based off what you roll, he will give you a card, and it could be very good.
What's a
Or it
D10?
That's it.
This is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know
I don't
there
have the
could-
dice anymore.
There's things in here that could literally make this game terrible for you, or something that makes things really great.
I'm going to roll one of those. Okay. I just rolled the D10.
Me and
Ah, 1!
Odeon both.
You roll a 1.
I did. Please be a good thing, because 1 is never a good thing.
Yeah, that's just 1 to 10. It's not a percentage or a pass-fail.
No, right?
That could be. I could get it.
Could be.
No one's rolled this one, so that's interesting.
Okay.
This is literally how I did it. I have them numbered on my page.
So this is like a test that everybody in this group has to go through?
We've already done it.
Loves messing with you guys.
Yeah.
He's been around a few times. He helps
And
sometimes.
is it because of Odeon?
Yeah, he loves to help though, and he
Oh.
also likes to mess with you guys. He tried to make them go to hell for fun,
Okay.
He did.
just to see
Well,
what would happen.
I like tricks too. So,
Well, he pulls,
little tricks.
as you pull it out, before you even turn around, it turns around like instead of being the back, it becomes the front, and you see a sun. It's the best one that I've seen.
It's a good thing?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
guys, this is
instantly
great.
gain a level
Whoa!
and a wondrous item, and it appears in your hand.
A wondrous item? Sounds amazing.
It's a magic item, and I already know which one I picked. You got something called the Oath Bow. As soon as you pick it, he laughs, and it's a very ethereal, strange-sounding laugh, because it's not coming from a mouth. It's in your head, and you see this bow suddenly just appear in your hand, where the card was.
Okay. Cool.
I'll tell you about it later, but
Sweet.
everyone suddenly becomes back to life, and
I'm just holding my bow.
you're holding a bow by the front door, but funny thing is, no one remembers that there was a lady at the door. Suddenly you're just over there holding a bow.
Okay.
That could have been much worse. They got demons. There's a demon hunting them.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Odeon and
Uh-huh.
Canaliron.
This is what I throw my line with. That's cool, guys, because seriously,
I numbered them differently because
My-
before I had them just in a straight line, and I felt like it was too forward, so
Yeah.
I mix it up so they wouldn't ever look it up on their own.
okay,
So,
and you'll help me figure this all out.
yeah,
Okay,
Oathbow is amazing.
cool.
It actually requires you to say something every time you're using it, but it's very like awesome. Like
Cool.
it's like hunting down your enemies type thing.
Cool.
Anyway,
Vanquish mine
Well,
right.
I'm an archer, so.
Right. Well, I had one
This
for
is
each of
good.
you had you drawn that. So
Uh-huh.
I had literally just made her character today, and I knew exactly which one it was. All right.
Woohoo.
Good, because there's some that can kill you. You should read those if you haven't. The DM page. Anyway, so you're over there standing by the door, and I'm going to tonight. I'm just going to say that's where we're going to leave off because we already actually went over what we were going to do, and I didn't notice that until now. But yeah, we're going to kind of do shorter ones about this time, and then kind of because 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours is kind of hard to watch in one sitting. So we appreciate you that have been on the whole time. Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much that you're on at the whole. See, the deck is awesome, but so dangerous, man. Right? Lesson learned: do not trust old women. Just hit them with a pointy end.
That was my like original thought, but I was like,
You know, she just walks up, some random elf just decks this old woman.
Hey.
But true. Never
You
trust an
never
old
know.
woman that's telling you to come forward, right? This is like scary 101. Anyway, hope you like the new sessions.
It's like never trust the beggar that lives in the woods.
Right. They always have some like, come to my house for
Curses.
candy, but also I'm going to eat your liver. But anyway, we're probably going to do these. We're going to try to do them like once a week or every other week. We haven't decided yet, but we'll figure it out. Obviously, our kid's been pretty good. They've been pretty good. She woke up for a little bit. Henry's okay. Anyway, we appreciate it very much, and thank you all for watching. And may your roll always natural ones, just not natural ones, because that's awful. We didn't do any of those tonight.
Nope.
woo. But we
That's
few
both
natural
got
20s
a
though.
20,
We
so
figured out
that's
the 20s,
good.
not good. We
Yeah.
didn't have any fights,
No.
but Dwarf was an interesting character, and we had a good time.
We almost had some.
We almost had some. Gosh,
He was
guys.
gonna go and hack off some
I just want you to know, I
dwarves' arms
create
in the beginning.
I create at least like 12 possible outcomes because these guys never, ever do what I want. Ever. I think this time you did closer to, but pretty good. Nothing bad happened.
We didn't do a lot of movement. during
Right,
this.
which was okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying like it
Yeah.
was more.
It was
More,
information gathering.
Yeah.
You did the first like 3
You
paragraphs.
guys still
of,
don't know
like,
my name.
Right.
That's right.
By the way, would you like to introduce your character so people know who you are?
I don't know how much I want to say.
No,
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
Elara.
out of the game, they won't know
let them
you.
Oh,
know.
okay.
This is meta.
Yeah, this is
Alright.
not the game right
Yeah.
now. This is closed.
Well, this character's new for me too, so I'm just getting to know her. But I'm Elara Athana
Mm-hmm.
of Serranus, and I am an elf. Yes.
Yeah, she's a high elf,
High
but she's
elf.
like part moon elf. So her dad was part of like a fae
Yes.
line, and her mother was a high elf. So she's got that blood in her,
And I'm an Arcane Archer.
which is so
slash
cool.
Fighter.
Xanathar's Guide to Everything has changed my life. It's amazing. Arcane Archer, if you haven't looked it up, it's amazing.
And I'm level 8 now. So.
And she's level 8 now.
Yeah.
Just jumped in, jumped a
Woo-hoo!
level. Well, I
You're
mean,
gonna have to help me.
let me
figure all
say,
that stuff.
it said 50,000 XP, but which for me equates for that level. I
Yeah.
don't do XP,
Yeah.
so if it's saying that big of an amount, I'm just going to jump it straight to the next level, which is fine,
Yeah.
because all it does is give her more health, and
This
Once
level, that's
the-
probably like 3 or 4 levels.
yeah, we'll just go with 1 for now.
Yeah.
She already got a magic item.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a magic blade.
Yeah.
It's like Sting, in the sense that it glows, but not when enemies are close. It just glows when it's unsheathed, which is like a torch. Can be good, can be bad. But if she's
Yeah,
just using it to
yeah.
kill and put it back, it doesn't matter. But it's called a moon touch.
Could have been an issue in the Underdark.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're using it to walk around with.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you all have dark vision. Everyone in this group except poor Alana. She just wanders.
Most traumatized of us all.
She's just like, I didn't want to be here in the first place. I'm just smuggling for my family. Which now she has a castle because of. She has a castle because she drew in the Dungeon Master's thing. She drew the tower. I think it was the tower.
Yeah.
And that means somewhere in the world she has a castle on her name. Her family name now. They own a huge property. Only problem is it's double-sided. It's full of monsters. So she can go there, but she'd have to clear the place first. And you just laugh when you know where it is. Bet you could
guess,
hazard a guess.
Yeah.
It's near a little place called the Withered Keep.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would have thought.
In their other campaign, it's their old castle. And, they called it the Withered Keep because they chopped off a prince's hand and kept it.
I wasn't there for that, but yeah.
It wasn't you. It was my brother.
Yeah.
A little psychotic. It's all good. Anyway, we appreciate you watching. Goodbye, everybody. We appreciate you watching. Lots of little comments. I can't turn off my phone.